Fruit. Fabric first is essential. This is so hard. Look at this quality. Fresh, no stress. This is what you need today. No, this is what keeps you alive.
If we go under, nobody wins. One choice.
Now. This is what you need for today. Your body needs. But I need both fabric and fruit. Fabric first is essential. This is so hard. Look at this quality. Fresh, no stress. This is what you need today. No, this is what keeps you alive.
If we go under, nobody wins. One choice.
Now. This is what you need for today. Your body needs. But I need both fabric and fruit. Fabric first is essential. This is so hard. Look at this quality. Fresh, no stress. This is what you need today. No, this is what keeps you alive.
If we go under, nobody wins. One choice.
Now. This is what you need for today. Your body needs. But I need both fabric and fruit. Fabric first is essential. This is so hard. Look at this quality. Fresh, no stress.
Okay. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuned in across the globe. I hope you can hear me. You guys, is it clear? Can you hear me? Give me feedback. Your feedbacks help. You know that, right? Your feedbacks help a lot. So tell me if you can hear me. All right, so I'm reading feedbacks. I'm getting your feedbacks. I'm reading feedbacks, okay? That would help, to... Okay, yes, I can. All right, thank you. Okay, so thank you. Welcome. Sorry we had to start this all over again because the last one was just glitching. Yeah? All right, so we're going to jump right into it. The voice you're hearing is the voice of SAB. I'm Sandra Adeyeye-Bello. I am the founder and creative director of SAB Studios NG, founder of AI Filmmakers Network, and also festival director for African AI International Film Festival. All right, so you guys, yesterday we started off with contrast on day one. Tell me what you remember from contrast, because today we are talking about conflict in your story. How can you use conflict to sustain the engagement or entertainment of your the engagement basically of your audience? That's what we are majorly focused on today, right? We're going to be talking about conflict, but I want to hear your take about contrast. What do you remember? What do you understand now by contrast? Okay, so we're going to touch on that quickly. If you were here yesterday, please share in the comment section. What do you understand by contrast? What have you taken away? What was the takeaway for you from yesterday's class? Yeah, what was your takeaway from yesterday's class? You learned about contrast yesterday. So what is contrast now? In terms of storytelling, what is contrast now? And is storytelling only in one form? Or can contrast be in many forms, or is it just in one form? You tell me. I want to read from you, okay? All right, so welcome to today's class. Today is all about conflict. We're talking about conflict, and conflicts can be in various forms. Now, I had to do different styles, just like I told you before. In these, our sessions, we're going to be trying to explore different concepts, right? Not just theory, but I want to make sure that we can achieve both theory and practical at the same time. Find a way to balance both the theory and the practical. So when I'm showing you, I'm also telling you. When I'm telling you, I'm also showing you, right? So we are going to go through the visual interpretation and then also talk about the psychology behind creating what we create. That's what we'll be doing, throughout our sessions going forward. That's why you see that we have an example on the screen for you. So let me play that just while I'm waiting for the feedbacks about your session yesterday. What was your takeaway from yesterday?
Stress. This is what you need today. No, this is what keeps you alive.
If we go under, nobody wins. One choice.
Now. This is what you need for today. Your body needs. But I need both fabric and fruit. Fabric first is essential. This is so hard. Look at this quality. Fresh, real, no stress. This is what you need today. No, this is what keeps.
Okay. I love it. I see someone's comment about contrast is the tension in a story that makes it interesting for people to follow. Thank you so much, Soul Frames, for that conversation, for that feedback. The tension in a story that makes it interesting for people to follow. Lovely. All right, so you guys know how we do this, right? So once you join our sessions, please be interacting. I'll be giving shout outs to each channel that joins the chat so that once people join in, they can easily, depending on your interaction, they might find your interaction quite exciting and they might want to click to go support you to see what you are creating on your own channel. So don't slack, okay? Keep showing up here, show up in the chat, show up in the comment section, let people see you. Use the opportunity to show your knowledge about storytelling and also, of course, promote the kind of stories that you create and how you're utilizing some of the ideas that we are going to be sharing in the workshop, okay? That would endear some people to read you and then click to find out more about you, okay? So, yes. All right, so I see Soul Frame saying contrast is the tension in a story that makes it interesting for people to follow. That almost feels like conflict, but yeah, I understand where you're going about the tension in a story. Is it really the tension? Well, it's the diversification. Is that contrast basically brings that diversity, right? It takes away the flatness of a story and gives it more depth, right? So I wouldn't really say it's a tension because basically we are talking about tension today. That is the concept of conflict. Conflict is more about the tension. Contrast is more about that diversity, right? So let's go. Okay, so Blue Flame Studios is also saying the intentional use of opposing elements. Perfect. I think this person used the right words. Thank you so much, Blue Flame Studio. Yeah, that's the right word to use. Intentionally using opposing elements, right? So you can use contrast in different forms. If it's photography, imagine, let's go with our imagination right now. So your imagination is, so let's play something up right now, something that has been playing in my head when it comes to contrast. So contrast basically is like saying, imagine you wanted to do an underwater photography and the lady is brown skin, the water is blue, and then she's wearing a red dress and then a yellow shoe, right? A yellow heels. And then guess what? All of these colors are conflicting. They are just popping out in your face. That is contrast, right? Light, darkness, basically you're pulling the audience in different directions at the same time. That is the concept of contrast, right? It is conflict that deepens it. So we're going to be talking more about conflict today. All right. So yes, it creates contradiction. Yes, you're correct. It creates contradiction. That is correct. It creates contradiction. So contrast is basically that contradiction, right? That pulls the audience in different direction. You're trying to get the audience to choose sides, right? So this person is saying they are right, this person is saying they are right, but we can clearly see that there is a wrong that has been done. So who will the audience choose at the end of the day? That is contrast, right? You're deliberately, like this person says, Blue Flame says, intentionally using opposing elements, right? In your frame, in your scene, in your story. That is contrast. Okay, so I love it. I'm liking the fact that we're having these conversations. So let's keep the conversation going. Remember, the more you show up in the chat, the more interesting, someone might think your idea is, and they want to check out what you're creating. Meanwhile, while we are here, those who are already here and commenting, I would actually encourage you to click on the next person's profile and please support them. Give a thumbs up, give a subscribe, like one of their videos and so on. Just subscribe to them, click and subscribe. Then when you're done, you can I know you don't want to miss out on the class, so instead of leaving the class, just click on their profile, support them by subscribing to their channels, right? And then of course, when we are done, you can check out their channel, the kind of videos they're making, and support them. All right, so that is what I would encourage everyone who is here right now and showing up in the comments. Please do that for each other. Please do that for each other. Click on the next person's profile. You see their image there, just click on it, click on their names, and subscribe to their channel. That helps each of us grow. We are here to grow, right? So grow with each other. All right, so that said, you guys tell me, I deliberately used some popular styles that we already know in today's sample. So tell me the styles that you see on screen right now. Tell me the sample of styles that you see on the screen right now. Tell me, what do you see on screen? What are the styles that you currently can identify on your screen? From the sample that we have now, what are the sample styles that you can identify? African Sparktails, welcome. African Sparktails, welcome. All right, so you guys, let me hear from you. Soul Frame and Blue Flame and African Sparktails, let me hear from you. These are the people that are currently on this chat right now, so shout out to them. Okay, all right, so let's see. What styles can you identify in the sample videos that you currently see on screen? What styles can you identify? Okay, so I see anime. That's correct. Anime, cinematic, amazing. Anime, cinematic. Okay. All right, I like it. Okay, so yes, you're correct. Generalistically, or generally, yeah, these are the names of that you might actually use in generating them. So let me just break it down quickly so that we don't waste too much time. So the one you currently see on your screen right now is this particular one with the boat scene. That is a paper style. Paper people, that's what you call it, paper people. Then the one with the orange jacket, blue person, and so on, that is the one that is 2D animation. We have 3D Pixar style animation that you are very conversant with, right? But the one you see where they wore the blue jacket, one of the characters wore the blue jacket, the other one wore a red, the other one wore the orange, that is 2D cinematic, right? The boat scene. And then the first one, the one where you saw all those paper, that is the paper people style. So I still tried the paper people style. I already did that yesterday with the fruits and so on. But I wanted to show it in human, using human characters, but with paper. So these human characters are built with paper. That's basically the style, right? So if you look closely, you will see the details on those characters. Yeah. So when you animate it, you can have that. Then the 2D follows it, and then I did hyper realistic, which you're all used to. Hyper realistic style. So we have very real characters, or people that look like real characters, in the marketplace, an African marketplace, and they are having a conversation. And then the last one, basically, that is also paper style, but paper style for the marketplace. So we have paper style for the boat ride, and we have paper style for the marketplace. Okay, so just to reiterate, just to emphasize, let me try and show what the paper style looks like. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so let's pause here. Okay, so you can see this here. You can see the attribute of the paper style. It's not a full-blown cartoon. They look flat, right? They look like you cut out cardboard papers to create them. You can even see the rooftop here. It looks like you cut out paper. Can you see that? It looks like you cut out paper to make them. Look at the boat. Can you see this? They look like paper people. Can you see that? So yes, so see 2D. You see the 2D style here. You can see the character. They don't look real. Then this looks like a real human. Can you see? These look like real people talking. This is hyper realistic style. Can you see that? So yes, you can use any of these styles to tell your story, and that was what we were trying to achieve I hope you got value from this. I hope you're getting value already. And I hope you're writing it down so that you can use it to explore your own form of storytelling. So that whenever you want to create, you want to stylize your story, you can easily try out different styles and don't be stuck in one style and say, no, my story looks one way. No, you can actually create 2D, 3D. You can create hyper realistic, you can create ultra realistic, surreal, all of that. We're going to be exploring this. This is just day 2, don't worry, we're going to be checking them out. Okay, so I see Morel Create AI. Welcome, Morel Create. Welcome. You guys, you know the rule, right? Click the like button at the top of the screen, click on your fellow commentator here. Anyone who is commenting is active, so click on their profile, click their subscribe button. Okay, as long as you see them in the comment section, they are active, so click it and subscribe to their channels. Okay, while you are here, we are here to support each other, we're here to grow while we are learning. All right, so please. All right, so okay, so yes, the 2D is not really different from anime and almost 3D. Well, it depends on how, this is more like a demo. It depends on how detailed, you go with your prompt. Yeah, for this demo, I basically just ran through it like quickly and like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to throw this in and say, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. But basically, the idea is to show you the possibilities of what is doable. So your duty is to explore it. If probably it feels fascinating to you and it might help to want any type of your story, go ahead and use that to tell your story, right? I want you to explore. That's one of the reasons I'm bringing this up. So you might not see a perfect depiction of what I am saying or what I'm trying to get you to see, via the videos that you see here. But I want you to explore it, in your own way to tell a story. The whole idea is use that style to convey your message, to tell your story. That's the whole idea behind this, okay? So if you're fascinated with the 2D, I think you should try it out. I would really love to see, how you guys create, come up with a story around it. Use the characters. Let's see how they come up. Okay, so usually, I actually like 2D, and I think I just did a film around 2D using the 2D style, actually. That's like your popular cartoon style, yeah? That's popular cartoon style. I actually just did a film. The film will be dropping on, I think, this weekend on Saturday. It's called Quickie. Yeah, Quickie. So expect Quickie, you guys. Quickie is going to be dropping this Saturday. I use a 2D style. So I wanted to show you guys because it's possible to actually do. Yeah. Okay, so going forward, now that we have identified the different types of styles that are available, I will keep bringing these styles to you guys. But beyond just bringing styles to you, what I'm looking at doing is to explore different possibilities, so that, because we are a community that gets briefs to create for businesses and brands, right? So I'm looking for ways that we can explore the intentionality of why each brand do the kind of storytelling that they do. For example, why did Coca-Cola do a particular way advert? How can you do the same thing? So I want us to converse about it and come up with ideas, that we can use, so that when such businesses and brands send in their briefs, it's easy for our creators to think, and process, come up with that kind of quality for them. So that is what we are majorly focused on. For this particular workshop, it's not just to talk. I'm not here to just do theories. I'm here to show and tell, right? So we're going to be showing, we're going to be telling. We'll come up with like, okay, so how does one achieve a surrealistic look? How does one come up with abstract concepts? How do we do that? So all of this, will be questioning it while we are showing the visual. We'll be talking about the concept behind it and how you too can achieve it. Okay, so if you're excited, type in the chat. You guys know the drill. If you've not clicked the like button at the top, click it. If you have clicked it, no need. Go ahead and engage in the chat. And of course, connect with anybody that is chatting right now. Anybody that is chatting is active. So what you need to do, click their profile, their image. You can see that image there. Click it and click subscribe. Okay, so that you can grow with them. They will grow with you. Once you do that for them, they will also do the same for you. We're here to grow together. All right. Okay, so going forward, you guys, we have talked about the styles. It's time to talk about the topic of the day, which is conflict. Conflict basically is the driving force of any story. There is no story out there that you have loved, that has stuck to your brain, that has stuck to your mind, that didn't have conflict in it. Conflict, just like contrast is the intentional use of opposing elements, just like someone said, to pull the audience in, to make the audience, decide that, hey, they want to be invested in your story or your characters, right? But beyond contrast, what complements them, what makes it stick, it is the conflict. Okay? So what we are about to talk about here is how can you use conflict to keep your audience engaged? All right? So think about this. Someone wants something and something is in the way. Do you understand this? So for those who have started with us, they already understand this. So whenever we are writing a story, whenever we are coming up with a story, the concept is, who is your character? What does your character want? What is stopping your character from achieving what they want? That is conflict, right? So everybody starts off with, oh, I'm going to be this, when I grow up, and so on and so forth. What now stopped you? Some people, it could have been accidents. Some people, it could have been, maybe money, financial issues. It could be health issues. It could be whatever. But guess what? Everybody started that journey the same way. When I grow up, I want to be this. Everybody had that answer. Very straight, very sure. In fact, some of us were surer than some, but somehow life happens and just creates a twist that, the journey takes everybody in a different direction. That becomes the conflict in each person's individual story. So I'm going to break it down. Most of us avoid conflicts because we want our characters to look good. But we all know that perfect characters are boring. Imagine, you're creating a film where somebody that just stands up and says, I think we should all jump into the sea. And then all the other characters will say, yes, I think we should. And then all of them jump into the sea. Your story has ended, right? But what if we create a story and say, I think we should all jump into the sea, and somebody runs and stands in front of everybody and say, no, don't jump into the sea. This person wants to kill us, And then they start having back and forth. Some people will be on this person's side. Some people will be on the other person's side. Guys, that is conflict. That keeps the story going. So at the end of this class, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to share, just like I did yesterday, inspiration on how to use contrast in your story. I'm still going to do the same, for conflict today, and show you ways that you can use conflict, because most of our stories that we have been submitting for the weekly challenges have been flat. Yes, most of those stories have been flat. Nobody is pulling on anybody. You're not using two characters and contradicting each other. The two characters are not contradictory. We're not seeing them fight for anything. It's majorly just narrating a story to us, and we should just accept it. No, yes, I know that narration is a part of storytelling, but the conflict has to be very clear. So it was deliberate for me to start off by talking about contrast yesterday, so that whoever is creating a story right now, the first point of call for you is, hey, how can this picture be contrasting? What is the contrast in this picture? That should be your first line of thought. What is the contrast in this particular scene that I'm putting out? Is there contrast here? Are they opposing? Are we going to see something that is, and then you now impute, your contrast will now be the base, the foundation. Then your conflict now becomes the building block where you enhance the contrast. Are you seeing how they work together now? So contrast starts it. Contrast is your base. You must start off with, how can I have two opposing elements in this scene? Once you have that answer, the next thing is to say, now that I have these two opposing elements, how do I sustain it? That is where you now build with conflict. Make sure that your characters are speaking different languages. They are speaking from different points of views. They are speaking from different status, how do they call it? Social status, right? So for example, Okay, so let's go back to the example of the billionaire getting married to his heartthrob, and then his ex comes in. Contrast, right? So imagine that example, and somehow that particular day, imagine that when they are now speaking, the billionaire and his ex are actually speaking from rich people's point of view, but the person that he's getting married to basically will be saying things like money does not matter. When billionaires are saying money matters, and let's fly to like Paris to have this conversation, and the ex will be like, can't we just have the okay, no, like the ex now is telling the billionaire, let's go to Paris to have this conversation, our favorite restaurant, and then the person that the billionaire is marrying will say, can't we have the conversation here? And they are saying there is heat in this place. There is just, you have to just find a way to roll things into that contrast, keep that contrast going. And the way you keep the contrast going is to build the conflict. Make sure that we can see it, like you are deliberately putting it to us or putting it in our face to show the difference in everybody's mindset, their points of views. Everyone is going to stick to their point of view, basically. That is the truth. You're not going to, which is something that I've also told the writers, it is not your duty as a storyteller to try to make us believe that this person is wrong at any given time. If you are trying so hard to convince us that this person is wrong, then your story needs a problem. Your story already has a problem. I say it needs a problem. It already has a problem, right? It has a problem. You don't need to try too hard. The truth is, everybody is right in their own mind. Everybody is right. No matter the conversation you're having today with anybody, if you hear two people are having conflict, they're having a problem, check it out. Each person will be so right in their own mind. They believe that they are right. So that is what your story should be showing. Not you as a storyteller trying to tell us that, this person is a bad person, this person is a bad guy, this person is... No, once you're trying to do that, you are already failing at the story, because you will get stuck trying to convince your audience. Don't try to convince your audience. Your duty is to create the contrast. Like I will always say, once you have a character that is egotistic, another character should be humble. That already sets the tone for you. So you don't need to try too hard. Their personality will show. The person who is egotistic will automatically always want to show that, hey, they are better than every other person. And the person who is probably humble, in quotes, will always take it. Will always want to accept it. Guess what? Once you continue to do that, your audience instantly chooses who is right and who is wrong. Some of the audience will agree with the person who is egotistic, and they'll say, yeah, should I feel bad because I have money, right? And the other set of people will say, how can you be allowing this person to ride on you every time? Can you see that you already created the conflict without trying? All you did was create that contrast, and what you did was build on it. Continue to make the person who is egotistical, show off. Oh, I bought this car today. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did that. Constantly, the person who is egotistic is being themselves. They are being themselves. You are not trying too hard. You are allowing them be themselves. Meanwhile, the person who is humble will be like, a day will come. A day will come. They always have like a wise saying. Guess what? The audience will automatically choose sides without you trying to tell them that this person is bad and this person is good. You do not need to try. All you need to do is work with these two things that you have been given. Contrast, the foundation. Conflict, build on it. How do you build on it? Allow your characters to be who they are. Allow your characters to be who they are. If it is a poor person, don't try to show that a poor person can afford certain meals in certain places that only rich people can. Once you are doing that, you're already creating confusion, not conflict. This is no longer conflict. This is now confusion, because how do you explain that a poor person can, right? So your duty now, if you decide to do that, your duty is to now show us that probably that is a billionaire in disguise. Can you see how we twisted that now? So if you, in whatever form, choose to show us that a poor person who is sitting by the roadside can afford to enter into a 5-star restaurant and buy some kind of food, then you must be able to convince us through your story where the character is living out their real life. You should be able to show us how that character is probably an undercover billionaire. That is your duty. And yes, there are stories like that, right? But what are we saying about conflict? Conflict is you building on the contrast you already created. Create your contrast by making sure that when this person is black, there is always a white. When there is a darkness, there is always a light. That is your duty. Anytime you want to write your story, start with that. Start with that. Who is the darkness? Who is the light? Who is the brightness? Who is the, there must always be that person that balances your story. That is the balance in storytelling. All right, so moving forward. Okay, I see a chart here. Most of the time, conflicts are seen in hooks of stories of films. Yes. You should be able to hook us in the first instant, right? You should be able to hook us. Your conflict is building off of your contrast. And if we are not able to see that conflict instantly, just like African Spark Tales is saying, if we cannot see it, how do we invest to be interested and watch your story throughout? We're talking about getting your audience engaged, right? So if your audience cannot see the conflict in the beginning of your story, why would they invest their time to watch it throughout? That is, I'm talking about for those now who are filmmakers, right? So how do you now tell your audience to stay and watch when we do not start off with, how can you buy that kind of building? And the person will be like, that is not a problem for me. I have the money. I should buy it. Can you see that we already have two mindsets at play? One believes they should not spend money. The other one believes I have the money, I should spend it. Instantly, if you start your story with that, your audience is invested immediately. You have set the contrast and you have built the conflict. Now, all you need to do going forward now is to allow each of the characters be themselves. The one who believes that, money should be spent, and the one who believes that money should not be spent. Two of them become your driving force. Allow them to be themselves. Now, what will happen between the two of them is that one person will start to hide. Probably the one now that spends money will start to hide from the one that doesn't want them to spend money, so that they will not have problem. That in itself is conflict. Because why? Each of them, they are being themselves, but they cannot be themselves to themselves. Does that make sense? Are we learning? All right. So I see Morel Create AI saying, yes, she's learning. I'm learning a lot. Okay. So thank you. All right. So you guys ask questions, give feedbacks, So your concept now, we're talking about our conflict now, just like what you see on the screen here. I decided to do two types of conflict so that we could, talk about them, right? Conflict could be natural and conflict could be against elements, right? So for example, you can see the one where the characters are fighting nature, right? That is conflict on its own. So imagine you had started your story off with probably an earthquake or something, or like the flooding now, like these fishermen on the water. They did not know that somehow, their boat, maybe the news has announced it that everybody stay indoors, there will be flooding and so on. They did not get that news, but they were on the boat. Then the next thing, the water is now, that is conflict on its own. You guys can see that. Human versus nature, that is conflict. Don't worry, I'm going to be sending you guys, the inspiration, like I said, where you can see other forms, how you can use conflict in your story. Conflict can be male versus female. Conflicts can be friend versus, married versus single. Conflicts can be, there must be a versus. Do you understand? Just the same way we did, yesterday and talked about the contrast. So black and white, dark and light, all of that. Yeah. So your conflict now is what enhances that, is what enhances your contrast, right? So for example, here we have the human versus nature. Then we have a character trying to choose in the marketplace, two vendors, fighting for a customer's attention, as you can see on the examples that we have, right? So I try to show that you can have different forms of conflict. It is your duty to come up with different forms of conflict in your story. All right. So let's go further. and explore all the possibilities of conflict in your story. So let's watch this. Okay, so we already have that. So types of conflict can be person versus person, right? Just like I said, person versus person. Two characters are clashing. As you can see on the screen, there are two fruit sellers fighting over the customer, right? Then you can have person versus self, right? Your conflict can be person versus self. So for example, someone who wants to stop a bad habit, right, but constantly finding themselves recreating or redoing the same habit, right? That is internal struggle. Excuse me. That is internal struggle. So a character who is smiling but doesn't believe they deserve happiness, that is an internal struggle. Or someone who is probably fighting an addiction and somehow they cannot get over it no matter how they try, right? So that is person versus self. That is a conflict on its own. So person versus world, right? There's also the conflict of person versus world. So for example, the environment, like the one that we have, the humans versus the ocean, right? I think some of us explored it one time when we did humans versus the ocean. We're doing like climate change stories and the rest. So you can explore that. Or human versus society. For example, the law, someone who is probably fighting for their freedom or something, or a system, someone who is fighting a system that is rotten. Imagine a character who is fighting a system that is rotten. So I know of a Hollywood film where a particular detective, he was the only good guy in the whole unit, right? And he had to stand up against his unit, and it is almost like a cult, like when you don't fight your department. It's not possible. But there has been a film like that where he is the only good person. He's the only cop that is not a dirty cop, right? And he stood up to his unit. He almost lost his life. It was really a dreadful thing. One person versus a full department of police people, right? So that on its own is really, really, really a challenge. So you have to think about it. There are different ways to come up with conflict. Now, I'm going to be giving you cues on, what makes your conflict interesting, and how you can sustain the interest of your audience, right? As we go along. All right. So if your story feels weak, you probably chose the easiest type of conflict, right? So there are levels to this conflict thing. Person versus person, that's humans versus humans, of course, or robots versus robots. So basically, let's just say person versus person, character versus character. So they look alike, right? Or person versus themselves. So it could be a robot versus himself, a fruit versus themselves, a human versus themselves, whatever you want to use as your character versus themselves. That is the second form of conflict. Then the third type of conflict is the character versus the world, every other thing against your character. So environment, society, or system versus your character alone. That is what will keep people watching. That is what your audience is paying for. They are not paying for you to come and tell them that the world is good, prim and proper, everywhere is sweet, soft. No, they are not paying for that. They are paying for what? Conflict. Okay? All right, so let's move on. How do you now use your conflict to make your story interesting? So this is your pressure pot. Your conflict is the pressure cooker. Your conflict is the pressure pot. Your conflict is what keeps your audience interested and stuck to your story. Now, just like I said, if you choose a simple conflict, then your story is lost. The attention of your audience is lost. How do I mean? So, for example, you choose to go with, just one character versus maybe something light, like, okay, you don't enhance it, you don't come up with other ways that your story could ripple. Now, this is what I would advise. This is how to actually get the best out of your conflict. You already know about the contrast and building on it to get your conflict and make it interesting, right? So what you need to start off with, number one, is to write the core conflict, the core issue that your characters will fight about. So once you have created your contrast, as you're starting your story, right? You have created your contrast, dark versus light, white versus black. Once you have created that, what will they fight about? What will be the major thing that they will fight about? So for example, I gave you the example of two characters who one believes in spending money, the other one believes in not spending money. What will they really fight about now? Secrets. That will be the major thing, because like I said, they can be themselves individually, but they cannot be themselves together. So imagine this is a married couple somehow. Just imagine this is a married couple, and probably the woman spends a lot and the man believes in, no, we don't need to spend, we need to save for the rainy day. Guess what will kill that marriage? Number one, you have set it up that they are married. Now your characters are in close proximity, but what is happening? They are contrasting. You have put them in a situation, marriage, and they now have that contrast, which is what we built yesterday. Believe in spending, believe in saving. That is the contrast between these married people. Now, beyond that, now we want to build our conflict and make sure that this story will be so sweet and our audience wants to watch what will happen. What can tear this couple apart? Beyond, because if they were just ordinary friends, probably they would be able to live without each other. But imagine they are always coming back to each other. Every night they come back and they say, hey, hi, how are you doing? How was your day? They come back to the house. Yet, what is the first thing that will kill them? Number one, secrets. Number one, secrets, right? That is the big ball. That is what will crash whatever they have. Two of them, they are already together in a marriage, right? But that thing, their contrast breeds secrets. Their contrast breeds secret. That is your number one conflict. That is your number one conflict. So put that as the big ball, the big picture, okay? Secrets. Now build off the secrets. What type of secrets will this couple have? What types of secrets will this couple have? You will now start to build it down. Secrets number one could be buy something and hide it and not tell your partner. That on its own is already killing the trust in their relationship, right? What other type of secrets can they have? Talking to people outside their marriage without the other person knowing. Now, that could become something else. It is now dependent on you to say, will this become a secret love affair, or is it a secret, maybe, for example, if it were women and this, there's always that conflict of women believing their pastors and so on. So imagine she is constantly running to her cleric to talk about her partner over and over and over. Or imagine the husband is picking up his call to constantly talk to his female bestie somehow, even if nothing is happening between them. Guys, can you see that from one big concept, building off their contrast, we created one big conflict, secrets, and from that secret we have built sub secrets into it, which is going to pioneer our story. Who is learning something here? I hope someone is learning. If you're not learning, let me close the call already. I hope someone is learning. Did you learn something from this? If you're learning, let me know. What have you learned so far? Have you picked up anything from here? Because seriously, I really want to see you guys changing your style of stories. Don't give me flat stories again. Don't just throw your story, your ideas to the AI and say, give me a story. AI does not yet, we're not yet at that point where you outsource your story writing, right? Your storytelling to the AI. You are the author, you are the creator, you are the storyteller. Your AI should be following your lead. No more flat stories. Come up number one. Yes, I see it in the chat. No more flat stories. Yes, start off with a contrast and build your conflict. How do you build your conflict? Come up with one big idea. Once you have created your contrast, come up with one big idea that they will fight about. And then from the one big idea, you must create connecting. I am very serious about this. Connecting ideas that will fit it. Connecting ideas that will fit that one big idea. So, for example, the example that I gave you about secrets in their marriage. Secrets can now lead to secrets in terms of buying things and not telling your partner. That would kill the trust. Secrets in terms of secret person that they are talking to, that will kill the marriage. So there must always be a cost. There must always be a cost. The cost is what? The stake. What is at stake? That is what you need to focus on. If what you are building off your contrast is not going to lead to anything, maybe something that would cause harm later, then your story is still flat. You must create the conflict that builds off your contrast so that there will be a result that would hurt your characters. Remember, I have told you guys, one of the rules of creating your story is not to tell a flat story or to make your characters look good or to give your characters a perfect life. You're not trying to give your characters a perfect life. In storytelling, you are looking for ways that your characters go through the battle, the struggle, because the truth is your audience wants to relate to it. Your audience wants to plug into it. Your audience wants to feel like you know them, you understand them, you understand the cost, the risk, the struggle. So if you are writing on a flat level, that is why people are not paying attention to your story. That is why people are not paying attention to your story. So, for example, the people that are here watching and you have watched Emotan, which is part of a story, a short drama that is currently on this channel, right? Everybody knows the story of Emotan from history, right? We all know the story of Emotan, the market woman who helped the prince ascend to the king, to the throne, and became, deified and so on, right? But there is a part of Emotan's story that nobody remembers or nobody talks about. The part where she never had a child of her own. She never had a child of her own. And this is talking about the 15th century, when a man's wealth is dependent on how many wives or how many children that he has. So did Emotan choose not to have children in that time? It is not possible. So guess what? I created a story of the pain of a woman who wanted to have children, but somehow she could not have children. That is conflict. She desired it. She went all through the mile. She tried everything in her power. Even when they say, oh, this one will cost you more, she said, yes, do it for me. She wanted to have children because that is the only way you will get respect in your land at that time. You guys, when it was not in the time when women are now choosing and whatever, then you are nothing. You are not respected. For not having children of your own, for not being in a marriage. That was the time Emotan lived. And people are, yes, we are celebrating, the conquest and so on and so forth. Beyond that, she was a woman with ache, a human. She was not above pain. She was not above struggle. She was not above that. That is why people will connect to your story if they can feel the pain. Can they feel the pain? Can they know, that you understand what it feels like? So when you create your contrast, imagine the contrast that was created in Emotan, a woman in the time of when, women were supposed to have kids, when women would brag about having children, and then somehow you do not have children. So that on its own is contrast. Then we build forward and say, hey, no matter how much this person tries, she will still not have. She will still not get that thing. So it is up to you now. Two characters married, stuck together, but somehow they have different ideologies about money. So what can tear them apart? I only gave you one, which is secrets. You can come up with more. You can even choose to say, hey, maybe someone already had a secret before coming into the marriage. It is your decision. But what I am saying is, when you come up with the big subtext, which is a major plot, the whole idea of the conflict is that, the plots, right? So the main plot is that main issue. That is the major issue that your characters will face. So the subplots is the ones that you pull from the main issue. How does this concept of secret now ripple into their lives? Secret in terms of secret lover, secret in terms of buying things and not telling your partner, secret in terms of probably staying out late, just wanting to avoid conversations, things that you could tell but you're not telling. Maybe even the person's listening might just even be that they are telling social media, right? People that shouldn't know their business is knowing their business. Meanwhile, they cannot talk to their partner, right? Maybe they are even having like a malice, people that can keep malice in their marriage and so on, just because maybe something has happened and they are just, there is so much you can touch on with that simple concept. And that is conflict. The moment you can build off of that, you can easily create a story that is long lasting and will keep your characters, keep your audience engaged. So have we communicated? Is someone getting value from here? So I see the chat here. Someone is saying, in writing or structuring our stories, is this not supposed to be the chaos that leads to twists? Oh, beautiful. Okay, so this person has taken the other classes. So basically, you see me trying to break this down in the simplest form because some of us have not taken those classes before, and some people are not from the storytelling industry, right? So for you who already understands this, we're talking about the 5 formats, which is, you start off with a hook, you come up with a conflict, and then of course spiral through the twist, that, right? So basically that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about that conflict, right? So you are starting to come up with your story. And you want to make sure that your story is not just flat, because the truth is, we can hand anybody those concepts and they would not still know how to use it, right? So that's why I'm breaking it down. So the first step is what? Make sure you come up with opposing ideas. Opposing characters, maybe a politician to an activist, maybe a student to a lecturer, maybe a market woman to a career woman. Come up with that contrast between the two of them. You find a way to make sure that this versus this, and they are not the same people. You are not duplicating your characters. You're not duplicating the scenario. Each person has their individual lives. Do you understand? A side chick to a main chick, or a wife, right? That is the opposing factor. Once you have decided that this is the type of oppositions you want to create, now it is left for you to now say, okay, now from these two things that I've chosen, that this is my dark and light, or dark versus light. Now, what will be the major conflicts that they will have? Would they be in agreement? If they are in agreement, for how long? It is left for you now to carve that, because the truth is, everybody can see the same story. We can all see the same, oppositions, and come up with different stories, because there is no new story out there. But to help you get the best story, that is why I'm breaking it down step by step like this. So for you who probably already took those classes before, if it is working for you and you are getting the best interest from your audience, please keep at it. Some people do not still understand that format. So that is why I'm breaking it down. Okay, the first thing for the person who does not understand the format, start with what? Get your dark versus light. Start with dark versus light. What is your dark? What is your light? So let me give you examples, which is what I have already done before, but just to reiterate, right? Dark versus light means oppositions, right? Politician versus activist, dark versus light. Single versus married, dark versus light. Side chick versus wife, dark versus light, right? Come up with that. You must come up with, this is your basic, right? So it is now, once you have come up with this and you know that this is what you want to talk about, though, now how do they connect and what will make them fight? That is your conflict. That is what you should now start to build on, which is what I explained just now, right? So for example, if it is activist versus politician, what are we saying? What should they fight about? It could just be one of the SDGs, right? The politician is busy amassing wealth, and the activist is someone who believes that, hey, hunger is in the land, share, let people get jobs. Basically, that you have already set it. What connects these two people? What connects the dark versus light? What connects the single versus married? What connects? Do you understand? You must find that connecting factor. That connecting factor becomes the issue. That is where the problem starts. So for example, the example that I gave you about a married couple, where their dark versus light is that they are married, yes, But their dark versus light is the fact that the man believes that, hey, we should save. The woman believes that we should spend. Dark versus light. How do they connect? What is connecting them now? Money. Money and marriage. Money and marriage. That is what connects them. Now, what should be the problem? How does this same money and marriage become a problem? How can you create conflict that will shake their money and their marriage? That is why I said secrets as a big idea. Secrets as a big idea. That is the main plot, right? So from secrets now, the question is, what type of secrets? That is just, if you say secret is vague. Secret is vague, right? But what kind of secrets can actually destroy their marriage? That, so we can now start off with, hey, one of them decides to start buying things without telling the other. That is a secret about trust. So they don't trust their partner again by, showing up with the way they are. Right? That is a secret on its own. Now, secrets with trusting other people instead of their partner. They now go and start talking to maybe social media, their pastor or their best friends about their partner instead of them to be talking to their partner. That is a secret that can destroy that marriage. Are you guys seeing that? Have I answered your question now? Does this work for you? Are you understanding what I'm saying now? The person who asked this question, Soul Frames, are you understanding? Are you following me? I want to be sure that Soul Frames is still here and Soul Frames understands what we're saying, right? So your duty now is to start off. That's why we started yesterday with contrast, so that everybody understands the concept of contrast, right? So once you now understand contrast, your duty is to build on that contrast with conflict. So you can call the contrast what? Chaos. You can call the contrast conflict. So if you're busy trying to marry the two ideas between what we are saying now and what has been said before, this is it for you. Marry it together. Chaos, conflict, spiral, twist. You have learned that before, you know it. So how does it fit into this system? That is what I am breaking down for you. Do you understand now? Is it clear now? Is it clear? Who is still listening? Who is still here? Who is still watching? Who's still watching? Who's still here? Answer. Let's get your questions. Let's get your comments. If you still have any question, if something is still confusing, ask. I enjoy this too much. Okay, so you guys, please let us know. Let me know if you're still here. Okay, so I see. I'm getting value. Yes, very clear. So I'm here. Okay. All right, so beautiful. I'm happy that it's clear. So you are going to be getting your assignment for the day, and of course the inspiration for your class. You're going to be getting the inspiration for how to use conflicts in your story. Basically, this is what I say. Just the way I'm saying it, right? It is inspiration. I'm not saying get stuck on it. I did not say get stuck on it. I will send you inspiration. The inspiration is to help you see the different aspects and angles you can test your conflicts on, right? So you already know the types of conflicts that are there. Person versus self, you can also see the conflict of persons versus persons versus self, persons versus society, and all that stuff. There are ways to come up with different forms of conflict. So it is your duty now to think as a storyteller. Your stories must no longer be flat. Come up with conflicts. We must see conflict from the beginning of your story. If your story does not give us conflict, we will not watch it. Your story will not resonate with people. Your story must be able to resonate with your audience. That is the way they will connect to your story and stay through to watch it. Because that is why a lot of people are struggling with views on here. What is the conflict? From the get-go, we should know the conflict. This person, okay, they are telling her, for example, a story that I'm working on. She's been told to get married. A young girl that is supposed to get married. And she's saying, no, she does not want to get married. Why don't you want to get married? Every other girl wants to get married. Well, that is a conflict on its own. Why doesn't she want to get married when every other girl wants to get married? The society says every girl must get married at a certain age. This lady is saying no, she does not want to get married. Why? That already is its conflict. So you have to start to think, how do you now build this, okay? So I hope that we have gotten value from today. You're going to be getting that inspiration, like I said, and of course your assignment for the day. Your assignment is to create a scene that has conflict in it. Yes, we must see the contrast and we must see the conflict in your story. All right. So if your story feels boring, it's because you lack tools. It's not because you lack tools, it's because you're telling a safe story, a story without conflict in it. If you're telling a story that doesn't have conflict, then your story will be flat. Your stories will not stick. It will not be relatable, will not stay. Okay. So yes, I think that's basically it. Any questions? Any question? Any question? Any question? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? So we have lots and lots. You're going to be getting your exercise now. Okay, so I'm going to drop the exercise in the group chat. So go ahead, check that chat, check that group chat, and do your assignment. Let's see those who have learned today. Thank you so much for being on today's call. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk about something more exciting. See you then.